Boom. That's the name of the game. Actually, two. And the monthly comic. And the button of merchandise that makes Transformers look undermarketed. And the cartoon all this is based on. Yeah, this shitty joke's going nowhere. So how about we just toss all that rubbish out of the window and talk about Sonic Boom. With only a few weeks left to go until the cartoon is unleashed onto the world, the hype for the sub-series based on the iconic video game franchise is increasing to breaking point. However, this has also resulted in a large number of fans arguing with each other over the direction of the sub-franchise, the changes it makes from the source material, and the ultimate question of whether or not the show itself will actually be any good in the first place. And because Boom has intrigued me ever since rumors of his existence popped up over a year ago, I thought I'd toss in my 2 cents in the matter and see where it goes. I'm not going to try to tart up this opinion piece as some factual evidence to convince you all to follow me in my crusade to get decent chaotic yaoi onto the show for all time. This is just my own thoughts, opinions, and speculations on the Sonic Boom cartoon, for better or worse. If I'm proven wrong in the future, I will gladly accept it and carry on. Now with that out of the way, let's start with the first criticism, the alternate universe. Understandably, the idea of introducing a brand new universe into a series infamous for a million different continuities as is to the detriment of the gameverse getting some much needed world building has rubbed many people the wrong way, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Having new continuities in which characters have alternate interpretations thanks to new or slightly changed personalities, the worlds are constructed differently and the tone is either darker or lighter, allows for a new wealth of stories to be told that might not have been told before due to contradicting established elements. And while everyone might not be up for a universe in which Knuckles is not very bright, Sonic acts as more of a loner, Amy reigns in her Stalker Crush to be competent, and Eggman has taken fabulous fashion notes from M. Bison, I argue that it does mean we might be able to do things we couldn't have done before in the games or the comics without delving into fanfiction, for better or worse. I mean, if we can live in a world where the Adam West Batman TV show and the Dark Knight can coexist without the fandom eating itself to death, why can't we? Apparently, it's because of the fear that if successful enough, the Boom sub-series will replace the main series permanently. Okay, I don't mean to come off as rude, I apologize if that's the case, but do you realize how utterly fucking ridiculous that sounds? Unless the games start to pack in cancer as a bonus, there is literally no way the games would become so unpopular that Sega would need to replace that universe with that of a spin-off cartoon without causing a massive state of chaos in the Sonic fanbase otherwise. Sega can make and have made many stupid mistakes, but they're nothing if not decently aware of how their fanbase works and then taking steps to prevent terrible consequences when allowed to do so. After all, why do you think they mandated Sonic stay single in the Archie comics? It may limit the story, but seeing how many characters the poor sod is paired with on the internet, it's probably for the best. No matter who he'd end up with, no matter if it was written well or not, 95% of the internet would still explode in a raging hellfire at the fact that it wasn't their one true pairing. If they know enough about what the especially insane shippers would get up to, why would Sega not consider the disastrous reactions of scrapping the universe of their games? And besides, how often has a very popular spin-off gone on to replace the original source material's canon? Not to a worrying extent, I bet. Everyone and their mother may love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's not going to wipe the comics out of existence. The rebuild of Evangelion films may be doing just as well, if not better than the original Neon Genesis Evangelion series, but the latter isn't going away anytime soon. And we stop crying doomsday at every slightly off thing that happens in the Sonic series. Everyone outside the fanbase does that enough as is, so let's not get sucked into that pessimistic nonsense when there's literally no proof at the moment that anything's going to change. At least not yet, but that does still entirely depend on the cartoon being good enough to even consider the thought. And no, I am not going to discuss the comics or the games in this video since the cartoon represents the crux of the sub-franchise and thus should be given the most analysis. And all this really comes down to is a very simple case of watch it before you decide whether or not you find it amazing or awful. There are many people in the fanbase who have been quick to call the show both hilarious and cringeworthy based on 3 trailers mostly containing footage from the first episode out of 52, and even then most of it is being taken out of context through the often finicky comedy advertising industry, which can take some of the greatest comedies of all time and make them look utterly insufferable in the hands of an ad man. To those people, and everyone else, I can only ask of you 2 things. 1. Stop jumping the gun and wait till enough episodes have come out for you to get a good judgment of it. And 2. Stop proclaiming whatever opinion you may have as some god-given fact that everyone else must follow. I'm aware that not all fans do this, fair enough, but it must be stressed that humor, especially in that of a comedy action cartoon for kids, is a very subjective thing. I may find the Simpsons game to be about as funny as a fire in an orphanage of AIDS victims, but does that make it objectively unfunny? Of course not. There are people out there that don't find Blackout or Monty Python hilarious, but that doesn't make these people stupid. That's just their own tastes, preferences, and eventual biases influencing their enjoyment of the media in question. If you like Sonic Boom, that is just fantastic, and I cannot express how happy I am for you that you enjoy it. If you can't, however, fair enough, I can at least understand why. But either way, it is that, your opinion and nothing else. So if other people love or hate Boom, don't go insulting their mothers or some old rubbish like that. Just accept the difference in opinions and carry on. As for not jumping the gun, remember, we've only seen clips of one episode out of 52 and bits and pieces for a couple more. What does this mean? Simple. We don't know for a fact that the show will spend all of eternity faffing about with dumb jokes and enough smug snarking to make even Joss Whedon vomit out of his own anus. There is the possibility that it could do just that, yes, but there's also the possibility that there could be much more depth to it than we may possibly know for now. After all, two of Cartoon Network's most popular cartoons, Regular Show and Adventure Time, prove this rule perfectly. If you only saw the first episode of both shows, would you seriously think that Regular Show would have an endlessly interesting, seriously flawed cast of characters, or that all the nonsense that runs Adventure Time is built from a very grim, horrifying reality? I doubt it. The fact that we still know so little about the Sonic Boom cartoon means that we'll be surprised when the show finally decides to sweep us off our feet with some Heart of Ice-like episode. Or maybe it won't do that and just have tons of fun with its nonsense like the really early Archie Sonic comics, or it could be complete bollocks, who knows. Not I, nor you, or anyone else for that matter, until the first season's come and gone. Give it a chance, and if you like or love it, that's great, and if you don't, that's cool too. Just don't be an obnoxious twat about it either way, okay? Also, before I go, one more thing. The first issue of the Sonic Boom comic, written by Ian Flynn, writer of Archie's other Sonic comics, and drawn by Evan Stanley of Ghosts of the Future fame, is out in stores, and I suggest you go out and get it. Why? Because there's one point at which all of the characters try out scarves of their own to mimic Sonic's, and Knuckles looks positively fabulous! Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, thank you for watching, and until we meet again, have a great day, y'all!